Okay, I'm going to do a little bit about importing your work and your footage and organizing those assets in Premiere. So in the previous introduction to Premiere, I kind of did a bit of a crash course of it. So now I'm going to slow a few things down and just show you in a little bit more detail how to put those elements together. So I'm going to go to Premiere and I'm just going to set up a new project. So new project. I'm going to call this call it test. Best to give it some name. Don't ever assume that, or don't ever just call it untitled, because I guarantee you, if you get into that habit, you'll have a load of files called untitled and you won't know which one is which. So if you're making a short film or something, give it the name of the film. If you're making an ad for, I don't know, a car or something, call it whatever that car ad name is. So I'm going to browse and I'm going to tell this where to go. I have a little Samsung drive here called T5, and in there I've got a folder called footage, and that's where I'm going to save this, right? And I'm going to OK this. Eventually it'll bring us into our workspace. I'm going to hide this for just 1 second because I want to show you one thing. Spinning beach ball. That means it's processing. Just give it a second. On the desktop, I'm going to hide this. I have a file called Philip Glassworks. It's a piece of music called Facades, and I want to use that in my project. At the moment, it's sitting on the desktop, and I am going to bring it into the project, but I just want you to see for now it's on the desktop. Right, back to Premiere. So I have my footage in the folder. Before I do anything, I'm going to say Premiere Pro Preferences Autosave. And this is something I do at the start of every editing session. So if I'm coming back to a project I'm working on again, I always open up the autosave. And I'm going to change this to every 5 minutes. Keep 20 versions of the project. And I'm going to OK it. So this means every 5 minutes it's going to save a new copy of it until it hits 20 copies. And then to record the 21st one, it throws the first one away. So you have the last 20 recordings or versions of the project at 5 minute gaps, right? So in 5 minutes, it'll do its first autosave, and then it'll generate a vault. We'll see that later as we go on. So first thing is, I'm going to import some media. So down here in my project bin, this is where I bring everything in. And I'm going to organize it once it's in there. So I'm going to say import media to start. Double click. There's all my footage. And you can see there's the test, the Premiere project itself, which is basically what we're looking at here, the whole thing. But in and of itself, it's nothing. It's just an instruction as to how to put all these back together to make up your timeline. So I'm going to select all of these. I'm holding the Shift key down. I'm going to skip over this one, but if I hold Shift key down there, see it selects that one too. So back to the start. I got to Shift and click to there. Then I'm going to Command click or Control if you're on a PC and get those ones. So they should come in now. Now I want to bring in that piece of music that I mentioned on the desktop, and in theory, I can scale these down a little bit if I want to make a bit more room, or bring them up. Sorry, but I can just go File, Import, and then I can say Desktop. There's the Philip Glass one, but I'm not going to do that because if let's hide this one more time. If I import that directly into Premiere, it's not in this folder with everything else. So what Premiere does is says, right, all of these files are in the footage folder. This one's on the desktop. If I import it into Premiere from the desktop, and then I go, oh, I'm supposed to put that in the folder, it's already made a link to where it is on the desktop. If I drag that in there, that breaks the link, and Premiere is going to go, where's that Philip Glass track that you had? So I put everything into the folder before I put it into the project. And you can see now there's a copy on the desktop and a copy in the folder. I am only dealing with what's in the folder. If you don't do that, it'll catch up with you later on. Because let's say, hide it one more time. Let's say you had imported it from the desktop, and then a tutor comes along and goes, look, this desktop's a mess. I'm going to delete all of these files that shouldn't be on the desktop. Or the deep freeze kicks in and deletes it. Then your Premiere is going to be going, where's that file? And you won't have it. So everything goes into your folder first. Close that. Back to Premiere, and here we go. So I've got, all right, let's bring it in from here. So file, import, and I'm going to bring in the flip blast track. There it is, import. So there it is down the bottom. You see, that's just audio. These are all video. Excuse me. And now if I'm looking at this, I brought in an intro to Premiere movie that I didn't mean to bring in. That was in the folder. That doesn't need to be there. And so at the moment, you can see these are all clips. If I hover over any one of them, see that one has audio. And again, scrub through them to see what's in there. Having a bit of trouble keeping up with them at the minute, but some of them are worked out. You can see there that that one has audio in it too, and video. So nothing here. I'm going to drag in a clip. So I'm going to grab this one and drag it across and let it go. Okay, so there it is. I play it. There's no audio on it, so as you can see here, there's nothing going in the meters. So let's take my Philip Glass clip, and I'm going to place that underneath it on the audio track. See there? Okay, so you can see instantly how music changes the visuals. You know, as you're watching it without music, you're not really. It's just footage of a snowy environment, mountains. Once you put that music on, music has now added a meaning to this image. So now it's a foreboding, kind of slightly scary. Where are we going? Kind of, you know, anxious, kind of nervous kind of feel to it, and it tells you that there's something to worry about. So music really influences, and that's what happens with editing. You take two separate things, put them together, and you get a third meaning, right? So that's one of the basics of editing. Before we get into the kind of the aesthetics of it, the theory of it, and stuff like that, let's organize our footage a little better. Now, in this case, we have our sequence down here, which is this, right? But the rest of it is footage. So let's say I'm going to split these into two categories. So let's say one will be nature and one will be city. Okay. So let's say all I've done here is this button down here, little folder, it says new bin. Bin is a term from when editing was done on film, and they would have huge bins or huge boxes on wheels, and they would hang strips of film over the edge of the bin. So that term is just a folder. That's all it is. So I'm going to call this city. Okay, and in the city folder, I'm going to put this one. I'm going to put this one. This one. Where is it there? And then I'm going to make another bin, and I'm going to call this nature. Maybe I'll shift and select these and drag those into the nature folder. Now I'm going to make another folder. I can right click in there and choose new bin if I want to, or I can make a bin down here. And I'm going to call this music. So when you're making projects for me and for Ray, we want your footage organized like this. This is asset management, and it's hugely important in editing, because if you can imagine a much more complex edit where you've got multiple scenes, multiple locations, you will want to organize your material. And if you're up until now, you might have been editing stuff and just throwing everything into a bin and searching through it. But a little bit of organization now will save you headaches later on, and it'll speed up your edit. You'll be a better editor because you're not dealing with searching for things as much. And also, if you were to go into the professional environment and you didn't organize your material, that has amateur written all over it. So good work habits, good work ethic are really going to pay off for you later on, both in terms of your student work and how it's organized and how enjoyable it is, hopefully. And if you have organized the material properly, the actual editing process, you can focus more on the actual creative side of it. So a bit of effort at the start frees you up later on. Like anything. If you're writing an essay and you haven't done your research, you're just writing and putting it together bit by bit. But if you had taken an hour or so to come up with a plan, you at least know what's the next step rather than having to stop and think about what it is. So preparation is everything, and you're doing it to free up your headspace and your time for being creative, which is what you want to do. So that's how I would expect things to be organized. You don't have to do it in any particular way, but it has to be a system that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? So you can't just throw all the footage from this day in one folder, all the footage from another. You can if all the footage on one day within one location, but even then you might want to break it down a little bit. I don't know. Depends on the environment. Depends on the shoot. But organizing your material is key. So that's how we do it. Okay. Thank you.